research which was happened almost 100 years back. And that research was being started in 1921 by one of the Swiss psychologists. His name was Carl Jung. And he was an academic Swiss psychologist. He has worked a lot on the type of personalities which we all carry. And he was having a very insightful research process which have been gone through. He has published a book which is called Psychological Types, and he identified that whenever we are being interacting with each other, we are having our own specific type of personality. And if we have been able to identify what type of personality I'm having, if I'm being able to identify what type of personality I'm having, my colleagues are having, what type of personality my spouse is having, what type of personality my kids are having, I can make a wonderful decisions in my life about my choices. I can make a wonderful directions for my colleagues around. So does it sound interesting to you? This is the subject for the day. We are going to talk about that. Now, what happened when in 1921 he was been doing a very in-depth analysis of the type of personality. On that same time, while I was doing in Switzerland, there was one of the ladies, name was Catherine Briggs, and she was doing it in US. And she was being identifying that why human beings as a people, we react differently to different situations. Why in some of the situations, some people are more successful, more happy, but some of the people they are not been in. Why in relationships, some of the people they thrive and some of the situations they don't thrive at all. So she worked a lot onto it. And in the meanwhile, she also came across the work which is being done by the Dr. Carl, and she continued with that work. And after that, her daughter, her name was Isabel Briggs, she also worked onto that. And what they brought after years and years of research, they come out with a structured set of questions in which they are being able to identify that overall there are 16 type of personalities, 16 type of personalities, and either of us, we belong to one of them more dominantly. So today's discussion, what I thought that I have to broad this subject for you, and we are going to do, you might have seen at my back, there is some interesting stuff, I put it over there. And today we are going to do some work together, and we have to identify, and you yourself are going to identify what type of personality you are been in, and there is some guidance I'm going to provide you with that. And first thing in our life, the first dimension, let me look into that. The first dimension in our life, we are either introvert or extrovert. Now, I'm going to give you a definition of it, what introvert is all about. Now, if you are by default, you are having a preference to be an introvert, you always enjoy dealing with your thoughts, images, past memories. You love to stay in your personal space. You like to be isolated. You enjoy your own company if you are an isolated by nature, if you are introvert by nature. You know, when we are having that sort of COVID scenario has been happened, and we have been asked, many of our colleagues and ourselves, we have been asked to work from home. So work from home is a bit of more isolated scenario. And some of the colleagues, when they talk about that, still remember that. They said that it was quite a golden time because they were having their own space. But in the meanwhile, there were some of the people, they're not that much happy. They were missing the hustle and bustle of their office environment. They were missing their colleagues. They were missing that company. They were missing that chat. So they were more on the extrovert. So extrovert, they are the type of the people who get their energy when they are being surrounded with the people. They get more energized when they are being interacting with the people. They love to be in the company of the people. They get bored if they have been asked just to stay in an isolation. They love to work in a team environment. Now, this is by default. There's no right or wrong. This is a type of preference we choose for ourselves. This is something which is built in our preferential system. It doesn't mean the person who is extrovert cannot be an introvert sometime, but the preference is more extrovert. Now, coming back to that, what is your preference? There's no right or wrong. As I mentioned, just make a best guess about yourself. Are you an introvert by default, or are you an extrovert by default? Choose one. Are you an introvert? Are you like to be in isolation majority of the time? Do you get your energy when you are having a thought process while you have been alone, or you get your energy when you are interacting in a social environment? All right, does it sound sense to you? I hope it did. So let's identify whether you are I or E. If you are I, put it over here in the first block, I, or if you think you are E, just put it E over there. All right, is it clear for you? Fantastic. Now we are moving to the next dimension. Next dimension is, the first dimension was how you get your energy. Now second dimension is about how you make your decisions in life, how you make your decisions. So there are two dimensions for it. One is called sensing and the second is called intuition. Are you sensing or you are intuition? When you are sensing, you know you are a type of a person. Just think about yourself. You are a type of a person who use all of the five senses. You like to see the things, you like to hear the things, you like to smell the things, you like to get the hands on. If there are some of the projects which has been given to you, you just don't go with your gut feeling. You will go into the minute possible detail of it. You go into the meticulously into the detail of everything because you utilize that information. That is the way you gather information. You live in the moments. You look into the present facts. You look into the reality which has been existing around. If you are a type of a person, you are a sensing. You are more relying on that sensual data. You have been gathering that data for all of your five senses. Now, on the other hand, if your preferential system is intuition, you are a type of a person who is a possibility thinker. You always look into the bigger picture. The minute details makes boring for you. You look into the bigger picture. Whenever any project started happening, you just don't want to go into the detail of it. You are more focused on what is the overall objective of this work, what is the overall scope of this work, what exactly we are trying to achieve. You would like to see the bigger picture over here. In that instance, you are being actually have more future oriented than past. You talk about the future. You look into the possibilities which has been there in the future, and you go with your gut feeling. You go with the you like to learn about the things without getting your hands dirty into it. You like to, for example, if you have been asked to talk about on some of the assignment and some of the project, you like to see the bigger picture. You like to get the details of it before you get anything into the detail of it. So identify yourself. Are you a sensing person or you are an intuition person? So if you think you are an S person, just go into the second block, just write S over there. If you think you are an intuition, you utilize more your intuition, your gut feeling, your feeling about it, how you feel with the information. And if you are more future oriented, just put N over there. All right. I hope you have been with me up till now. So this is going on great so far. This is fantastic. Now we are going on to the third one. Now what is the third one? The third dimension is very interesting. Now, third dimension talk about how you make your decisions in life. How you make your decisions. So if you are a thinking type of a person, you always process that data and you look into solving problems. You look into the pros and cons of the information which has been provided to you. And the most important part is you look into the assessment of the data in a detached manner. And you enjoy more the logical reasoning if you are a thinking type of a person. If you are being a thinking type, you look into the interpretation, you look into more into the analysis part of it. You love to get yourself more into the thinking, into the data interpretation of it. Now, if you are a feeling type of a person, so feeling type of a person, let me put something over here. When you are more thinking into that, now you are more factual with your work. You are more on the task oriented side of stuff. You remember in one of the session we have talked about that the managers, they have their preferential system. Some of the people, they have more preference for the work and the less consideration for the people. And there are more people, there are some of the managers who are having more consideration for the people and less consideration for the task. Now, when you are looking into the thinking type, you have been more related with the task in hand. You like to complete the job. You like to complete the process in hand. Now, if somebody give you an appreciation, if you have not completed the work, you didn't appreciate much. You like to complete. You like to follow through it. But when you are a feeling type of a person, the emotions matters the most for you. So when you are been working in a team environment, you like to go with the harmony in your team, in your environment. You don't like to be in a conflicting situation. You love to be harmonized. You love to be having an acknowledgement by the people who have been around you, and you are caring about the feelings of the people, because sometimes in that instance the facts sometimes doesn't matter. The people, how they feel about it, that matters to you. Now you have to choose about yourself. Which is your preferential? Are you thinking type or are you a feeling type? So put it yourself over here, what you are being type of a person over here. All right, going to talk about the last one. We have to look into that. This is very interesting, which is called either you are judging or you are perceiving. Now, when you are a judging type of a person, you know what type of preference you have been having. You always make checklist. You always have to have a checklist with you. You like to tick off the task which is in there. You've been very much keeping the timekeeping is very critical for you, and you love to reach with the commitment. You love to come on to the time. If you have to go to the restaurant, you will love to have prior decision before you reach over there. But if you are a perceiving type of a person, you know what you're going to do. You might land in the restaurant and you might start it. You have been very flexible. You don't like to be so much structured in your approach. You would like to have a flexibility because the preferences matters most for you. So whenever you have been in a situation, you look into that, you go with the flow type of a person. So you love into that. All right, what people are been eating around, you might choose something similar to that. So it means that the flexibility is more important for you if you are perceiving type of a person. If you are a structured person, if you like to have more organized at your work, at your place, you are a judging type of person. All right. Now, I hope you have been got your either your J or P just put into your last block over here. Now, my dear friends, my dear brothers and sisters, this is one of the most profound things I have learned in my life. If you identify your type of personality, you can not only manage yourself in a better way, rather you can manage your colleagues, you can manage your kids, you can manage your family all around. And this is one of the most phenomenal things can happen. So this document is just one example. I would also invite you, whatsoever the thing you have highlighted, like say if you have said you are ESTP, Syed has highlighted ESTJ. Okay, let's have this thing. And then what you can do, there are some of the online tests available, which is called 16 Myers-Briggs type indicator, MBTI 16 personality test. You will write it down and just authenticate that whatsoever you have identified about yourself, are you that type of personality? Once you identify that type of personality, what you have to do, your job is easy. Now you know what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses. It doesn't mean that these are the only things you can do. You know, these are our preferential system in our life. So for example, I would say that there are certain behaviors which I prefer to do in that way. These are more dominating in myself. There are certain preferential what you can say the choices of professions, I can go with that. Even honestly speaking, when my kids were actually going for their selection of their universities, I actually have make them through this MBTI test, and I ensure that whatsoever their type of personality, they are leading to the right profession, because this is the most important part, which is the most important decision we can make in our life.